All right. Good afternoon, everyone. The day we've all been waiting for, our 2022 Aspirations in Computing, Minnesota Aspirations in Computing Internship Showcase and Celebration. And I just want to welcome you to today's event. My name is Russell Frankel. I'm a director of IT Career Pathways and Partnerships with Minnesota State IT Center of Excellence. And the Center of Excellence is part of the Minnesota State Colleges and Universities. And I wanted to share with you that there are 26 colleges. Those are two-year colleges, 7 universities, and over 54 campuses throughout the state of Minnesota. We have been a proud leader and partner of the Aspirations in Computing Awards program. It's a year-round program. We've been a proud partner for the past 10 years. And we partner with the National Center for Women in Information Technology. And there are over 85 affiliates in the state of across the nation. And we are considered by them to be a gold standard affiliate. And we are that way because we have a tremendous number of business partners and community-based organizations and schools and folks who strongly believe in this goal to make sure that students who identify as women, genderqueer, and non-binary have this support network in place to become our next best Minnesota grown technology talent. And so it's my delight to be with you today and to showcase this year's interns. I want to provide special recognition of 7 companies that have partnered with us this year to offer 18 paid internships. Those companies are Datasite, General Mills, Land O'Lakes, the Minnesota Twins, Optum, Securian, and SPS Commerce. And so join me in thanking them. You can go down to your reactions tab. You can put an applause in there or a thumbs up, something along that order, or just thank them in chat. This is great. If you've just joined us in chat, please feel free to introduce yourself, your role, your company, and your name. And we'll know who all is in the space with us. So I thank you so much. I'll give you a really quick understanding of what's going to unfold here today. First of all, we're going to get started with, on the front side of this, with 9 of our honorees who are going to, essentially, they're going to just kind of showcase in 3 to 4 minutes, their role or where they're working, some of the things they've been working on, what their kind of the highlight is of their summer experience, and any type of gratitude that they have for the people who have been supporting them. And then we're going to have sort of a midpoint opportunity to hear from Shauna Hughes, a longtime supporter of the program. And she's going to leave us with this inspiring message around, shining your light and your excellence in the next steps that honorees take. And of course, for those of us that are in the space, we also get to shine our excellence and our bright light, because that makes a huge difference in the world. And then we'll finish up with the other interns, and then we will get to some concluding remarks, and then off we'll all go to back to our internships and other roles and responsibilities that we have. So with that, we're going to get started, and we have a couple of our interns that are from Optum that have approached me about getting together and presenting together. And so this first sort of presentation will be for roughly 7 to 8 minutes in that range. And we want to welcome Rima and Anna to our room, and they're going to take it away. And I'll just ask them, do you have a need for a PowerPoint presentation, or are you going to be doing this more informally today?
We have a PowerPoint ready.
Okay, so we'll unspotlight me because I'm not the center of attention here, you are. And so we'll just take it away. So you should have share screen ability here. Let me know if you have any issues.
Okay. Are we all able to see that?
Yes.
Perfect.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming.
And welcome to our presentation on our time at Optum. Before we dive in, we're going to take a moment to introduce ourselves. So hello, my name is Rima, and we are both on the United Health Group People Analytics Data Management team. So we are TDP at Optum, but our team is United Health Group. And I will be attending the University of Wisconsin-Madison this fall, majoring in computer engineering and computer science.
I'm Anna, and I will also be attending the University of Wisconsin-Madison this fall and majoring in computer science and data science.
Before we dive into our project, I want to go through some of the platforms that we use. So the first one is Domo, and this is our data visualization and business intelligence platform. This is where all of our end user data sets are. The next is Oozie, which is our current scheduler. We are switching to Airflow, which is the industry standard. We will also be using Kubernetes, which we'll go into later, and that's a container orchestration platform, and GitHub is where all of our code repositories are.
We also utilize PyCharm, which is where we create the DAGs, and it's a Python integrated development environment. And we also use Swift Kanban, which is an intake application that allows us to have visibility into the work that needs to be done. And we also use Docker, which isolates the code, and we don't utilize Jenkins as much as others, but it's a build server that deploys the code. So our work at Optum consisted of 3 main core projects, the first being data validation, the visibility into the status or health of each data set refresh, the second being data cleanup, the assessment review and cleanup of unused assets, and the last project being future state pipeline POC, the prototyping and documentation of future state technology.
As Anna mentioned, data validation is about getting the visibility into the status/health of each dataset refresh that takes place in Domo. So we built out a dashboard on the health of the data sets that the data management team owns. We expose this to the people analytics community.
And there's even more visibility into the status of each data set through the heat maps that we've created. And each heat map shows every data set and its status based on if it's refreshed daily, weekly, biweekly, or monthly. And we also linked each data set to its underlying data source to give quick access to each specific data set. So if it's is needed, it can be quickly accessed.
Domo will be moving to a pay-as-you-go model moving forward. So we are doing a review and cleanup of all of the content that's in there. So we are trying to reduce the number of unused data sets, reduce cost in the environment, allow for more control and management of core assets, and reduce building of content on assets that are out of date. For cleaning the data, we assess and review each data set, so checking when it was last run and whether it affects any other cards. And if it's clear that data set isn't necessary, we can delete it.
So before our internship started, 71 billion rows of data was already deleted. And during our internship, 112 million rows of data will be deleted. And this is all to reach our new goal of 100 million rows of data to be deleted by the end of this year. And as you can see, we've already surpassed our original goal of 10 million rows of data.
Our current scheduler, Oozie, is scheduled for end of life in the middle of next year, and the team is currently transitioning to Airflow. Anna and I documented all of the onboarding and implementation set up with this new technology to help the team with versioning and isolation between jobs.
So this is our timeline of our internship for weeks 1 to 3. We mainly focused on the first project, data validation. And for weeks 4 to 5, we mainly focused on the future state project setup on our local machines. And for weeks 6 to 7, we mainly focused on the documentation portion of the future state project and also worked along side with our Domo cleanup project. And then for weeks 8 to 10, we are now focusing on our Domo cleanup and handoff and wrap up project, part of our internship.
The highlight of our summer was the Minnesota headquarters intern experience hosted by United Health Group, Optum, and United Healthcare.
And then we'd like to thank the Minnesota Aspirations in Computing for this opportunity.
We'd also like to thank the People Analytics function at United Health Group, especially data management and data science, for being so supportive and welcoming.
And we'd also like to thank our families, especially my turtle and Rima's dog, for being there throughout our journey at Optum.
Thank you for listening.
Well, that was just excellent. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Rima, for taking us through a bit of your internship. It's much appreciated. And a special thanks to your pets for their support. All right, wonderful job. Thanks a bunch. All right, so now we're going to move to Stavia with Land O'Lakes.
Hi, everyone. I have a little bit more of an informal presentation plan where I'll just talk through what I did this summer at Land O'Lakes. So my name is Stavia. I'm going to be a senior at Maple Grove Senior High School this upcoming year. And this summer I worked at Land O'Lakes on the control tower team. And this is a team that focuses on building data reports for each of the different business units within Land O'Lakes. My project this summer focused on comparing projected inventory values for different products at Land O'Lakes to their actual inventory levels. So Land O'Lakes sends all of their current inventory values to a company called OMP, which is an advanced planning system. And OMP then sends back these predicted values for the following few weeks, and all these projections update daily, but no one within Land O'Lakes had ever dove deep on or focused on how accurate these projections actually are. So in my project, I gathered all of OMP's past projections starting from January of 2022 using Snowflake, which is a cloud data warehouse. And then I delivered a report comparing OMP's past projections to the actual inventory values. And I delivered a report in Power BI, which is a business analytics tool, to the actual business. The highlight of my summer was the informational interviews and networking that I did, because I was able to learn a lot about the different teams within Land O'Lakes and the different roles within these product teams. And I was also able to hear about all the different sorts of career paths and just journeys that people take to get to where they are. And I really learned some invaluable tips and advice about having a career in technology. And I would like to thank the Aspirations program and Russell for providing me with this opportunity to intern at Land O'Lakes. And I would also like to thank Nancy, Amanda, Beth, and my manager, Rich, for providing me with really great advice and support throughout this whole summer. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Stavia. It's wonderful to have you. And since we have a little bit of time, if you could share with the group what your plans are for next year, what's happening, what's in store for you.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to be a senior in high school, so I'm working on applying to different colleges and seeing what I might want to pursue in the future. And I'm also on my robotics team at my high school, so I'm really excited for this upcoming season, where we're really hoping to, recover from COVID and just really get going on that. I also run a program called Gears in my robotics program, and that stands for Girls in Engineering and Robotics. And this upcoming year, we have a couple of projects planned to get different clubs started in middle schools throughout District 279, where I live, to empower these girls in middle schools to join their robotics teams. And then once they start high school, they can get involved in programming and technology.
Hip, 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 hooray for you. There's one other thing I hope you're doing, and that as a senior is reapplying for the Aspirations in Computing Award once again, and try to hit that big target, right? Mm-hmm. So thank you, Stavia, for your participation. Thank you for your comments today, and we are prepared to move on to our next presenter. We have Zoke from Datasite, who will be joining us.
Hi guys, my name is Zoke Saki and I'm going to be a junior at Mounds View High School this coming year. And I worked on Datasite primarily on the cloud team. So this summer on the cloud team, I learned how to use Git and how to code in Python. And once I learned how to code in Python, I started working on building APIs. Currently, I'm building methods on the cloud server to make it easier to attain data from the most recent changes and updates. The highlight of my summer was doing the community building activities with the rest of my colleagues at Datasite. They make it like really fun to connect with people and to play games over Zoom. And I wish to thank Aspirations in Computing for giving me this opportunity. And I would also like to thank Peg Mickelson, Heather Zupfer, and all of the people on the cloud team who aren't here right now, but I'd like to thank them for making this experience really fun for me and giving me the opportunity also.
Okay, so okay, thank you so much. And you also have some added time to share with the audience what your plans are, which I think are pretty exciting. So tell us a little bit more about the rest of your high school career, because you've got a couple more years left, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So for the rest of my high school, my time at high school, I'm on the robotics team, so I'm very excited to return and keep working on our robots. And I'm also going to look for more opportunities for robotics and stuff like that. And then obviously studying for the ACT because I'm a junior. But after high school, I would like to major in computer science and physics because I'm really interested in astrophysics, and hopefully I can become an astrophysicist one day.
That's wonderful. I just want to point out to folks, especially our business leaders, that the Aspirations in Computing Awards program is for students that are in 9th through 12th grade. Of course, there's a collegiate level award as well for those of you that are exiting this year high school and heading off to college. Keep your eyes open for that. But I just want to comment, especially for our business folks, that this is the kind of talent that we see. You're seeing here today as young as freshmen and sophomores in high school. And so really the only deterrent sometimes for our interns is really about age and their ability to work. I think Datasite has this open requirement at age 16. And so if you're not one of those partners who has that, please work with your HR department to see if you can expand your ability to get to talent as early as sophomores in high school when they're ready to come and join you. So it's okay. Thank you so very much.
Yes,
for your time here today. You bet, it's a pleasure. All right, so we're going to move now to Claire Dixon with SPS Commerce. Come on down, Claire.
All right, thank you. I will get started. Hello, I am Claire Dixon, and I am the summer intern at SPS Commerce. I worked on the network and data center engineering team, maintaining both physical and virtual infrastructure. My time at SPS started by getting me up to speed on what network and data center engineers do at SPS. I spent 2 weeks learning about the different systems that make up a data center. All of those systems play a role in the data center and talk to each other. I worked with VMware, upgrading OS on multiple HPE ESXi hosts in the Carlstadt, New Jersey data center to patch vulnerabilities. I also spent time shadowing at the Global Service Desk, and I got experience in workstation imaging, installing applications, Active Directory users and groups, and prepping new hire laptops. My highlight from this summer was when I worked through hardware maintenance in the Nutanix cluster located in the Minneapolis office, which got me experience in change management meetings, risk assessment, and scheduling when changes can be made to include different time zones. This maintenance was my highlight because it was a very step-by-step process, starting with those change meetings and then pre-work before a remote engineer took over via screen share. After the remote engineer was done, I brought everything back up online, and then testing was done to make sure that everything was running properly. I would like to highlight a couple people and thank them in picture order left to right. My manager, Michael, my mentor, Jay, my techmate, Tori, Lauren, as well as the rest of my network and data center engineering team. I would also like to thank SPS Commerce, as I have enjoyed my time at SPS this summer. So thank you, SPS.
And thank you, Claire. Please tell us a little bit about your plans for the future.
Sure. I plan on, I'm going into my senior year next year of high school. And I plan on applying to a four-year college somewhere in Wisconsin. And then I plan on going into a technology field, probably computer science, cybersecurity, something along those lines. And then moving on into the workforce.
That's great. And your your high school, Claire, is?
Egan High School.
Oh, that's a Wildcat, isn't it? From what I know.
Yep.
That's right. I used to work in that building years ago. So it's wonderful to have you, Claire. Now you've got some people in your family that have been involved with technology, right? In aspirations. Is that accurate?
Yep.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
My sister applied to aspirations, and my mom loves it.
Right. She does. And she's got like kind of a data back or a technology background as well, or no?
Yep, she works at Securian Financial.
That's great. That's lovely. All right. Well, thank you, Claire. It's wonderful to have you, and enjoy your senior year and all your plans for the future. Thanks for helping us to get to know you a little bit better. It's greatly appreciated. All right. Let's see. We've got Claire. Now let's go to bear with me here. Jasmine Gary from Securian.
Okay, I will share my screen. Okay, so I was an intern at Securian Financial this summer. I will just be going through a few of the projects that I worked on this summer. So one of my first projects was working on internal vulnerabilities. My goals for this was to learn more about the Strata web service. And specifically, we were making sure that there were no vulnerabilities or issues with logging and escape characters. And I really got to learn a lot about Sonar Scan, which is essentially the thing that we use to make sure that there weren't any vulnerabilities in the code. And I really enjoyed being able to go through the entire tool chain process from beginning to deploying. So this is probably one of my favorite projects that I worked on this summer. In the middle of my internship, I got to participate in something that Securian does, which is called the Innovation Sprint. And really, I got to learn more about AWS, specifically AWS Serverless Batch. And this was a completely new topic that I've had very little experience in. And I really love that Securian allows for everyone to be able to explore new things inside of this program. And I learned so much from being able to collaborate with my team and really watching them and exploring more about AWS. Finally, I worked in Strata, adding new Strata settings, which essentially is a big database of all of the companies that Securian works with. and providing their products. So I had to add a few settings into the system, and then I had to do some regression tests, and I got to deploy that. Some of my key takeaways were learning the tool chain process of an established corporation, the makeup of a successful agile team, and effective communication and time management skills. Thank you. I would like to thank Securian for giving me this amazing opportunity, Aspirations as well for this amazing opportunity, and everyone on the Sriracha team.
Well, Jasmine, you probably know what I'm going to ask you because I've been asking everyone else, but tell us a little bit more about your future, your near future, and maybe your extended future.
Yeah, so I am an incoming junior at Eden Prairie High School. So I will just be continuing my education in computer science. I'm excited to learn more about iOS development. I'll be taking a few iOS classes at my high school, as well as self-learning. Throughout the summer, I have been learning more about Swift because I'm very interested in that whole aspect of computer science, and really just wanting to learn as much as I can before I move on to college to truly find my passion in computer science.
That's great. Jasmine, can you give a little commercial or let our folks know about the Job Shadow program? Because you've been involved with that a bit too, right?
Yeah, I got the opportunity to learn more about Datasite and kind of the interworkings of it, and got to meet a few people and got to play a lot of games and really connect and learn just more how Datasite works, because I was really interested. It was one of the companies that was listed, and I did not get the opportunity to be with them this summer. So I really wanted to learn more about their interworkings and compare and contrast the Securian and other companies I've heard about. It's just a really interesting experience. The people were amazing, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be a part of that.
Thanks, Jasmine, for that testimonial. It's greatly appreciated. And for our folks in the room, that's another aspect of our year-round program is, and we're back at it. We had a COVID interruption of at least 2 years, and we were able to bring it back this summer, and we had about 30 of our honorees, and Jasmine was one of them, who ended up with it on average a couple of job shadow experiences that range from part day to full day. And so, Jasmine, way to take advantage of it. And I would just say, this is just great advice for all of our honorees. It's just this whole notion of availing yourself of these abilities to, go out and do an informational interview, do a job shadow, have a mentor. And that's another aspect of our program is virtual mentor opportunities, and really, try it all on, right? Just kind of go for it. So Jasmine, kudos to you for doing that. You take care.
Thank you.
You bet. My pleasure. All right. So let's go to Sani. Sani, are you with us today?
Yep.
Wonderful. Good to see you, Sani.
To see it. So I'm Sani, and I'm interning at SPS Commerce this year. At SPS Commerce, I'm part of the assortment web applications team. And for the first few weeks of my internship, I was trying to understand what assortment was exactly and what was its role in the entire supply chain. So what I learned is that assortment at its essence is a service that manages supplier and retailer relationships. It is the major link between vendors and retailers. It starts by vendors putting up their data about products in spreadsheets and pushing that into the assortment software. Their assortment code validates the product data with the retailer's requirements. So for example, if Target's ordering t-shirts from a factory and they want to make sure that the factory has a price attribute, price tag on the t-shirts, the assortment data validation service will take care of that. I started my internship a little bit later than most of the interns here, so I don't have a fully produced project that I can showcase. But currently I'm working on the rounds page in attribute registry, where I'm trying to rewrite this page and this entire page of UI from Redux to React. So basically what Redux and React are like, they're two packages that help manage user queries on websites. The only difference is that Redux is much older than React, and Redux requires a lot more code than the React queries. For instance, in this image on the left side, the function that is written in Redux is converted into just 4 or 5 lines of code with React. It is much easier to update and read code for future programmers in React and Redux. Some of my highlights of the summer are, of course, meeting new interns at SPS, like the photo on the left. I had a great time in the interactive activities that Lauren arranged for us at SPS. And another highlight of my summer was the Tech Jam, which was at the Tech Jam, I learned about different opportunities within SPS and just a different insight onto some of the features that SPS offers. For my internship, I would like to thank Dan, my mentor, Gordy, my manager, and Lauren, and of course, Aspirations, for giving me this amazing opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sani. It's wonderful to have you. And maybe if you could share your plans as well.
Yep. So I'm an incoming senior at Eden Prairie High School. So as I'm guessing all seniors are trying to do right now, I'm focusing on college applications, and I would like to major in computer science and aerospace engineering, somewhere preferably in the South in warm weather.
I applaud your thought process there. That's great. Good for you, Sani. It's wonderful to have you. And so you said you started a little later. Does that mean you're going a little longer?
Yep.
You'll be able to go a bit longer. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going in the fall, beginning of September. So I plan to finish the project I started with rewriting Redux queries. And I think that should take me till the end of my internship.
That's great. Wonderful, Sani. Great to have you.
Thank you.
All right. Now we're going to move on to Rhea from Optum.
Hello, I will attempt to share my screen. Okay, looks like it will let me, so I'll just do an informal one. So I'm Rhea and I interned at Optum this summer. If you didn't know, Optum is the technology side of United Healthcare Insurance. And I was specifically on the operational data science team at Optum. And the purpose of this team was to solve and provide solutions to internal problems and different customer service teams as well. My team specifically, we had 5 interns on the team in total, 2 in undergrad, 1 in graduate school, and then I also had another AIC intern on my team. This diverse schooling makeup was really helpful because it helped me grow, learn, and connect better with others. And it was nice because all of us were in Minnesota, so we met up frequently and did kind of a hybrid format for our internship, even though our manager wasn't in person. It just helped us, and I felt like I was able to gain a lot more insight and just experience that way. So what did I do this summer? I had a really fancy diagram to show you. Don't know why it's not letting me share it, but my team was in charge of optimizing a data pipeline for a downtime minutes predictor model. So we set up the entire data architecture pipeline and then focused on setting up the beginning stages of it, so the first half. So we didn't do too much about creating the model. They had already created the model. We just got more data in place so that it was a more effective predictor model. With the project, I used SQL, Python, PySpark, dbeaver, Kubernetes, Databricks, GitLens, Docker, Grafana, and VS Code. So a lot of different applications and programs. And this was just because we had to take a long and lengthy and confusing SQL query, break it down into separate queries, and then export it via Kubernetes and Docker so that we could upload more data into the data pipeline so that the ODS team could utilize that to optimize and improve their model. Another and my most favorite part of the entire project was that we noticed a gap within the team itself. We noticed that they currently had no data quality check tool in place, so we evaluated an option for them to use called Great Expectations, which is an open source data validation platform. I not only helped evaluate the option, but I also typed out the steps on how to implement it, provided commands for the use case, and then in Databricks, we created a Databricks notebook that had a proof of concept using sample data to show that Great Expectations would work for the ODS team and is a great option for them. And it was really cool to be able to take this one idea and run with it and also add extra details. The highlight of my summer was definitely meeting new people. I reached out to numerous different full-time employees at Optum and informational interviewed multiple different people every week to learn more about my future career and just gain valuable insight from them. My favorite informational interview was actually the Chief Information Security Officer at Optum, and it was really cool just to hear from her because she's an amazing speaker and supports women in STEM a lot. And it was outside of the informational interviews, we also had an Minnesota headquarter experience where all the interns from all the 50 states at Optum met up in Minnesota, and we had about a week-long retreat with different events and networking. And I met made a lot of new friends and did a lot of networking. Last but not least, none of this would have been possible without my manager, Lucas Johnson, who helped and made an effort to make sure that I was comfortable and kind of understood what I was doing. I would also like to thank Kate Agnew. She was the Optum company sponsor this year and also a former senior director of software engineering at Optum. She contacted us, we met up with her, and she was always there to help. And she just offered us insight into our specific career journeys and also just our Optum dream. And lastly, I want to thank the entire Minnesota Aspirations in Computing team for giving us all this amazing opportunity and experience. And yeah, just thank you so much for all of that.
Well, thank you, Rhea. And you are a sort of shining example of the show must go on. You know,
Yeah.
When the technology breaks, when things aren't quite right, you carry on, and you did an amazing job. So way to go. Real quickly, what's in store for you?
Yeah, so I am going to be an incoming freshman at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities this year, where I'll be double majoring in computer science and math. Additionally, I'll be staying in touch with my robotics team and just the robotics community in Minnesota. I'm on their diversity and inclusion committee, so I'm helping out with that and actually helping a lot of different teams throughout Minnesota with my role in that. And then also just helping get more kids in touch with robotics by helping out at different off-season robotics competitions throughout the summer and fall.
All right, Sky Yuma.
Yep.
Rhea, this is great. Congrats to you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to our next presenter, we have Shreya. Shreya, who is with General Mills.
Hi, let me just share my screen real quick. Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
Perfect, okay. Hi everyone, my name is Shreya Srinivas. This summer I worked at General Mills and I was on the tech innovation team. And so basically we explore new tech trends that are out there and explore how new technologies can be used at General Mills. And so this summer, my project was to work on the tech innovation team's website and also do some outreach across the company. And so my first project was to create a modern SharePoint site. And so the purpose of the site was to just allow employees to have a better understanding of what the tech innovation team is working on, as well as upcoming events that we're hosting, and also who to contact if they have any questions or just want to reach out. My second project was researching the metaverse and how we can implement VR into the workplace. And so to do this, we hosted a pop-up at Headquarters where we showcased different spaces that we had developed in VR to different employees and kind of showed them the impact that VR can have at General Mills. And so I think outside of just having the opportunity to work at a company like General Mills and learning how to work in a corporate environment and learning new technologies, another big highlight of my summer was meeting the other interns at General Mills and understanding what kind of things that they're working on and their kind of past experiences. And also just hanging out with them. So you can see we had a scavenger hunt, and also we went and played whirly ball last Friday. So it was just really fun getting to connect with different people and meet them. And finally, I'd like to thank Devon Sales and Aspirations for giving me the opportunity to intern at General Mills, the Datasite team, Brian, Tim, and Ethan for collaborating with me on my project, the senior leadership team, and the intern task force for supporting me throughout my internship, and then David, my social buddy, for being a mentor and a guide for me throughout this internship. So yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you, Shreya. And nice to have a social buddy, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's great. So Shreya, tell us a little bit more about your future.
Yeah, so I'm going to be an incoming freshman at Purdue University, and I'm hoping to study computer engineering while I'm there, and also continue to be part of a lot of technology clubs and activities and pursue my passion.
That's great. We're grateful that you have this passion. So thank you so much. Wonderful presentation. We have a second person from General Mills that's going to join us, and then we're going to end up taking or hearing our next speaker, because I know she's in the room. All right, so let's see. We're going to have Alisa join us from General Mills.
Right. Hi, everyone. I'm just going to share my screen. Can you all see that okay?
Yes.
All right. So hi, everyone. I'm Alyssa, and this summer I interned at General Mills on the business process automation team. I just graduated from Mounds View High School, and I'm attending Northwestern University next year, where I plan to double major in computer science and economics. So as a member of the automation team at General Mills, I partnered with one of the teams on the business side to help automate one of their processes. So the credit and collection team, one of their tasks is to hand process orders that come through from different customers in SAP. And so this can be a really tedious process since they can receive up to hundreds of orders per day, and there can be different criteria for different customers. And so they have to look at the different criteria for each customer and determine whether the order can be released and just go through, or it has to be held for further review. And so my task was to automate this process for them, and it ultimately helped save them a lot of time. And then the software that I used for the automation was WinShuttle, and then all the orders were located in SAP. And so for the results of my project, I helped save the credit and collection team about 24 hours per week. And just automation in general creates a lot of efficiency within the business. So by automating the repetitive tasks that people might have to do as part of their day-to-day job, it allows them to focus on projects that add more innovative value to the business. And so with that, I want to thank Aspirations, General Mills, and Devon Sales for making this internship opportunity possible. I definitely learned a lot of both technical and soft skills that I know will serve me well as I go into college and future careers. I'm grateful for Rashmita, Tori, and Liv, who were my social and tech buddies, and they helped me get oriented at General Mills and just working in a corporate environment. I also want to thank my process automation team for welcoming and supporting me throughout the summer, especially my manager, Jonathan Wallace, as well as the credit and collection team for collaborating with me on this project.
Wonderful, wonderful job, Alyssa. And now you get to tell us too about what's happening in your future.
Yeah, so I'm headed to Northwestern University next year in Evanston, Illinois, and I plan to double major in computer science and economics. And I really look forward to seeing what types of classes and activities I get to explore there.
Wonderful. Thanks for sharing that with us, Alyssa. So what we're going to do now, folks, which is exciting for me to introduce you to Shauna Hughes. Some of you may know Shauna. Shauna has been involved with aspirations in computing for a number of years. She has keynoted one of our in-person events. She has also been a speaker or a moderator of an event or MC, and I'm delighted to just introduce Shauna to you, and she will kind of share some inspiring words with you. So Shauna, welcome, come on down.
Hey Russ, thank you so much for having me, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here with you today. As Russ mentioned, my name is Shauna, and I love hearing your stories and seeing how you all are shining bright. So let's talk a little bit about how you can keep your light shining bright, okay? And let me know if you have any issues hearing me or the slides are not showing correctly, please. All right, so believe in yourself. That's something that it can be really hard for us all to do, but we're going to start the session talking about believing in yourself by owning your identity. You will notice the hashtag that I'm using. It is called BIA. This has a double meaning for me. It's a term of endearment that's expressly always being yourself. And it's a nickname that I used to call my sister, who passed away about 18 years ago. She really helped me find myself and own my identity. So I wanted to share that with you all. You can really use this hashtag or this expression to really remind yourself that you are enough and really work towards shining your light bright. So let's talk about owning your identity, right? My daughter always says this to me: you don't always have to be Beyonce. And I always say, well, why not? Why can't I be? She's like, you can be Kelly or Michelle. You know, the words true identity mean many different things to different people. So instead of just asking, what is my true identity? Ask yourself, what personality traits do you admire and which ones do you want to try to exemplify? Identity is about the positive traits, but also your negative traits as well. I know we all don't like to think that, oh, I have negative traits, but unfortunately we all do. It's a combination of things that you do. It's your talents, it's your strengths, it's your passions, it's how you love, it's how you care about others. So how can you develop those positive identity traits that will help you? And this will also make sure that you can self-actualize your potential as a beautiful human being. Well, we have to acknowledge our negatives, but not to dwell on them. You can develop these positive identities of yourself in many ways. And to truly understand yourself, it's important to know your weaknesses, fears, disappointments, and dislikes, etc., as well as knowing what makes you a Beyonce. So be patient with yourself and stay open to new thoughts, realizations, stay open to feedback. The better you know yourself, the more effectively you can control yourself and the general direction of your life. Additionally, an important part of accepting your own identity is understanding that there's an overwhelming complexity within yourself, but also within others. So make sure you're giving grace in all aspects with yourself and others. Now, one of the things that I like to do is I like to do this every year, actually. You don't have to do it every year, but I do it every year. Most people do, you know, their statement, their annual statements or their vision boards or, you know, et cetera, things like that. But one thing that I like to do every year is I like to revisit my previous mission statement. And then I like to create a new one. So writing a personal mission statement offers you the opportunity to really establish what's important to you and help you make decisions and really stick to it. Or it can enable you to chart a new course, you know, when you're really at a crossroads. Our personal mission statement allows us to connect with our own unique purpose, and it gives you profound satisfaction when that situation comes up and you actually fulfill it. It helps us to focus on what it is, why we're here, why we're doing it, and who we are, and helps us keep our integrity as well. Now, what are some of the things that can help us stick to our mission? What are some of the things that can help us continue to shine bright? And I always say, find our community. There are so many beautiful young women that are on this call today that are in the community, that are working at other jobs and also doing internships and going to school. No matter where you are, that's one thing that you want to do is find those people who are going to support you to help you bring out the best version of yourself. So we're going to switch gears just a little bit and talk about mentorship, sponsorship, and coaches. Can anyone tell me the difference between a mentor, a sponsor, and a coach? And if you can, just unmute and say it, or
use chat.
Or use chat, yeah. Thanks. Okay, so I'm not seeing anything pop up, so we're going to keep it moving. I'm going to tell you what I believe the definitions are and what I've experienced in my career growth and professional and personal growth. A mentor is an experienced and trusted advisor. Most of us know that. A guide who builds trust and helps you model positive behaviors. Mentors can be hands-on. A sponsor is an individual that is your cheerleader and is committed to your success. They vouch for you, they can make the right introductions, and they're traditionally usually hands-off. You know, you're not talking to them all the time, you're not, they're not helping you work through a problem or creating a solution. A coach is an individual who will help you achieve a specific personal or professional goal by providing training, advice, and guidance. Coaches are very hands-on, hence the term coach, okay? Now, how do you find these mentors, sponsors, and coaches? Because it's important to have all kinds in your kind of like in your tool bag, right? Beside you, behind you, in front of you. Don't just find someone who has a job you want or a platform, you know, that you want to work with. Find someone with a similar set of strengths and skills you want to emulate. Spend some time finding the right person. In fact, having several candidates before committing to a single mentor is ideal. Follow their blog, get to know who they are, you know, look them up on the socials, all the channels. If you don't know the person very well, see, you know, what they're like in their personal, public persona. Make sure you understand who they are so that you can set your expectations realistically, okay? Now, how to ask, you know, how do I ask for someone to be my mentor? Or sometimes this happens naturally and organically. You know, don't always ask for it right off bat. That's a really big ask. And it's far too big for a first meeting. Rather, for an initial meeting, make it something informal over coffee, keep it less than an hour. Come with questions that you've prepared to ask, but let the conversation flow, you know, very naturally. All right. So what's your role when you're looking for your people, the people that you want to help make sure that your light keeps shining bright? Be authentic. Make sure you're open, humble, hardworking, and malleable. Nobody wants to be a mentor or a sponsor or coach someone that is unwilling to learn or to adjust. Always give 100% and always show up. Don't just take, but also be willing to give. So don't always just want something from them. Always be open to giving them something. Is there something that they need help with? Is there an introduction that you might be able to make? Mentors often learn from their mentees. So always be open to help as well. And last but not least, always be willing to amplify, regardless to what it is. Your fellow interns, making sure, you know, if there's something that a skill set, a language, or something that you're particularly fond of and you're good at, you're proficient at, and it's something that they want to learn. It's something that you're always reaching out and helping others. Having that, you know, that mindset that you're always willing to give a hand and lift the next person up. That's how we're going to really succeed in this world, and how you can really make sure that you're not only shining your light, but you're helping others to shine theirs. All right, and that is the end of my presentation. Gonna leave it open for some questions, concerns, anything that you can think of. We can do comments.
Right. Yes, and we would just open this up to especially our honorees. If there's anything you heard that spoke to you, that Shauna shared, a little courage, just come on, raise your hand, or just come on and just make a statement or two. That's just fine. If you want to put something in chat, that's fine too.
I had a question.
Yes.
Has there been a mentor that you've had, mentor, sponsor, or coach, that was influential in your life, and how did they help you?
Yeah, actually, and he's here on the call today. Russ is someone who I consider an amazing sponsor. We don't talk every day or even maybe once a quarter, but when we do talk, he's always encouraging, but he's always given me the opportunity to advance and hone my skills. So I would say one of the things that I was really scared to do in the beginning of my career is public speaking. You know, it makes you super nervous. You don't know these people, you know, things that you might say something wrong. But he always provided me with the opportunity to speak in front of people and to really shine my light in a way that was authentic to who I was.
Well, I would just comment, Shauna, thank you so much for your kind comments about me. And you are super easy to support. I'm just going to say that. And what this group doesn't know, and I'll just say it more broadly, is I know of your adversity. I know of the things that have happened in your life, and I'm just totally awestruck with how you have found a way to rise above that and to have such a proactive and positive view of the world. And so thank you for being you, and for sharing your light with our audience today. So thanks so much for being here and being part of today's experience. It means really a lot to me. So thank you. And I hope you can, yeah, and I hope you can stick around. If you can't, we know you've got other pressing matters. you're a busy person. But what we're going to do now, folks, is we're going to kind of get into our second stage. We have 8 remaining candidates, and we're going to go to target field or somewhere close to that. And we're going to ask Elise from the Minnesota Twins to join us.
Yeah. Okay. Can you hear me?
You sure
Sounds
can.
good. So my name is Elise Buzzle, and I am lucky enough to work for the Minnesota Twins in the Business Systems Department at Target Field. I remember first doing the Sparks Does Target Field event last year in November, and that was before knowing anything about baseball, let alone the possibility of interning here. And when I got in the car after the tour, my head was filled with all the different ways technology was used at Target Field. I guess I never really had considered what goes into running a baseball team. I've learned a lot about baseball in my time here, but I've also learned a lot about coding, working, and networking. I started this internship with a little knowledge in a couple of coding languages, and now I have become way more comfortable coding in React and understanding different coding concepts like databases while working on an event sign-in web development for the employees in the front offices. I've also become more confident in the work environment. I hadn't really considered how different full-time employment would be from being a full-time student. I've learned to leave work at work, which is a lot harder than one might think when coming from a homework type mindset. I've also learned to not be afraid to collaborate with others despite the age, title, or experience gap. And lastly, I think the biggest skill I have developed is networking. Through the Twins and Shelly Andrew, I have been able to attend many different events to learn how to network and also have the opportunity to network. My LinkedIn has grown significantly since I started here, and the connections I have made will stay with me for time to come. Although the free games have definitely been a highlight to my summer, I think the biggest highlight to me is the college and career advice I have received. When I started this internship, I was considering majors such as computer engineering, software engineering, and computer science. And my list of colleges to apply for was mediocre, and they were on there for the wrong reasons. Now I'm applying for colleges that are more for the education I can receive, and I am now applying to go into the computer science field. And even though deciding on a career is still a few years out, I know more specifically what I do and do not like in the fields I could possibly go into and the company environments I prefer. The best piece of advice I got was choose your education on what career you want, not the other way around. That basically helped me figure out what I should be looking for in colleges and what I should be doing in college to achieve my dream career, which still doesn't have an exact title yet, but I know it has something to do with user experience. I definitely owe a lot of thank yous, that's for sure. I've been supported this entire internship by everyone in the business systems, so I'd like to thank them for welcoming me and always being willing to help. More specifically, I'd like to thank Shelly Andrew, who is the business systems manager at the Twins, for bringing me into the Twins community and being a great mentor and role model during my time here. Without her, I would not be where I am today. Then thank you to Russell and Aspirations, even though I would have never considered myself a candidate for an internship my junior summer. I am so incredibly grateful for your help in giving everyone here the opportunity of a lifetime. And lastly, thank you to my mom and dad for convincing me to actually send in my resume, even if it was just for the interview process, and supporting me throughout the summer, no matter my schedule. And I know this is primarily focused on my internship experience this summer, but I would be remiss if I didn't say a quick thank you to my mentor, Katarina from Target. This has been a busy summer of growth and development, and being able to ask questions and share my experience with her has been extremely beneficial. Thank you.
Well, wait, excuse me, way to go, Elise, and helping our audience to understand what the Mentor Mash program is. And I'll just further comment that for those of you that are unfamiliar, what Elise has experienced and what her mentor has experienced is this opportunity to get together 4 times over the course of about 8 weeks for about an hour apiece virtually, and have this opportunity to learn together, right? And Elise, thank you, really thank you for making note of that and the importance of that in your kind of career development. So way to go, Elise. All right, so Elise, tell us about what's in store for you.
I'm headed into my senior year at Two Rivers High School, and I'm applying for colleges, and kind of just exploring that. I'll be on my school board this year, so that'll be new and time demanding, I guess. So
Sure will
yeah.
be. But
Yeah.
a good use of your
Yes.
time, right?
Yes.
Yeah, leadership development is, just so critical, right? For
Mhm.
us to have these opportunities to challenge ourselves and to continue to grow and learn. So thank you so much, Elise.
Thank
And
you.
I'm just gonna say this while I can. Go Twins. The drive is on, right?
Yeah.
We made some great recent acquisitions, and we have high hopes for them to finish strong. So thank you, Elise, for sharing your work experiences. All right. So what we're going to do now is move on to Caroline with SPS Commerce.
All right, I'm gonna share my screen quick. So hopefully this works out. And can everyone see the slides?
Yes.
Nice. Okay. So, all right. So, hi, my name is Carolyn Priddle. It's my second year interning with Aspirations, and I'm going to be an incoming freshman at Villanova University in Philadelphia. And I am going to be a computer science major, and I'm really hoping I can try out their cybersecurity minor. So that's kind of like my future plans. And yeah, so this summer I worked at SPS Commerce, and I was on their trading partner development engineering team, which is a very long team name. But basically what we would do is we would develop applications to help make other teams successful. So these are some just kind of example ones. So I worked a lot with like Transformation Tracker and like Map Viewer and Creator, and they like Transformation Tester just lets you like convert different file types. So they're just useful, and it's really glad to be working on something that like other people will be using. So I did both front end work and back end work. And to start my front end work, I worked in Transformation Tester. I created a new upload step. So that allowed like new files to be uploaded to Transformation Tester. And it also let you like kind of convert those files to different formats. So that was like a feature that was being requested by different teams. So it was a great experience working on something that I knew was going to be like used in the company and that I knew other people like wanted. And I also added advanced parameters to a different step. So that just let like the user have more control. And in a different application, Map Viewer and Creator, I worked on a brownout. So what a brownout does is it lets you like remove features without actually removing the functionality. So I got to kind of work on that and kind of experience what it's like deprecating things and kind of go, instead of building new code, like kind of how do we effectively remove code in the UI without like breaking everything and making sure that like the users are comfortable with the transition. So in the back end, I ended up working on two other applications, Network Toolbox and RSX Shapes. So for both of them, I updated endpoints to match new standards at SPS. And with the new endpoints came a new data structure. So I had to go through and I worked on the unit test to make sure that the old code still matched like the new data structures and to make sure it wouldn't break due to the new like data being sent in. So I ended up updating 90 variables in total in the unit test. And I really learned a lot through that process about the importance of testing and kind of how different tests can work and effective ways of like updating them and how important they are. So it was a great experience working on both the back end and the front end of code and kind of seeing how everything interacts together. But the highlight of my summer was working on the Tech Jam Innovation Hackathon. So I was on the team Win Terms, which was made up of a lot of the SPS college interns and the Aspirations interns. And we made a dictionary slapbox because most of us have had experiences where we've had like a tech term or an SPS term that somebody said, and we're like, hey, we don't know what that means. So we decided to make a bot that you could just ping in Slack with the term and it would give you the definition. So that way interns and new hires would have a resource for kind of figuring out what everyone was talking about on the team. And we ended up actually winning 2 of the showcase categories during like the hackathon, which was a lot of fun. And I got to know a lot of the interns, and it was just like a really great experience kind of working with like a whole group of people. And I would like to thank my manager, Corey, my mentor, Kevin, my tech mate, Melissa, Brianne Punsack, who was a former Aspirations intern who I worked a lot with on TPD, the TPD team as well, and also Lauren and Aspirations and SPS for making my summer internship a wonderful experience. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Caroline. Wonderful presentation. And just to comment there that Brianne, yes, she was an honoree as well, intern at both the high school and college level, and now has been hired with SPS as a permanent employee. That's how this talent development effort works. So, Caroline, I remember you as a rising star, and maybe I would just comment quickly that rising star is sort of our initial level of honoree. And I remember you distinctly in the audience and getting your rising star recognition. You've come a long way. You know, it's just so much fun to watch. And you're not the only one. There's a number of honorees that have kind of risen from, I'm in this rising star category and I'm going to continue to experience and do things and to kind of build myself up. And so congratulations to you, Caroline.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. All right, so our next person we're going to hear from is Fiona, and Fiona is with Optum.
Hi, my name is Fiona Shand. I am an incoming freshman at the University of Greenwich next year in the fall, and I plan on majoring in computer science. And then this summer, I spent the last 10 weeks working at Optum, and I worked on their ODS team, which stands for Operational Data Science. I worked alongside Rhea, who we already met a few minutes ago. So something that we did and accomplished over our time was our group was given a really large piece of code called the Adtm Predictor model. And its basic purpose was to predict when Optum and United Health Group was going to have applications that would crash. So this would serve as a warning light to the health of any application that might crash, and then which ones would need immediate attention, which would save time and money and would hopefully prevent war rooms, which have enormous costs to the company. So within our group of the 4 other interns that I worked with, we tried to streamline the data and create an efficient data ingestion pipeline, which would gather a lot more data, like over 12 months worth of data instead of 1 week's worth of data. And this would be in order to provide accuracy when you use the model. And then we also learned about data architecture pipelines, and we would use it to visualize our step-by-step processes that our model would run through. And then in addition, we took the cron job and we split it up into 9 subqueries in order to deploy the data to blob storage. And lastly, I got to learn a lot about documentation and how to upload repositories onto GitHub. And all of this was super important to learn about the different uses of technology within data science. One of the highlights of my summer experience was definitely the Optum/UHG headquarter experience. This was when they flew in 1,200 interns from around the country to headquarters in Eden Prairie, and then we were able to meet and network and meet a lot of people face to face for the first time. This was really important because I got to learn a lot of valuable information about what a lot of other teams were working on and make a lot of lasting connections within the company. And lastly, I would really like to thank my manager, Lucas Johnson. He provided a lot of support for all of the interns and was always there and helpful. And then in addition, my supervisors, Crystal Maddox and Jordan Gayton, were always super helpful with any technical questions and work that we had to deal with. Lastly, I would love to thank Aspirations for providing an amazing opportunity and all the tools needed in order to pursue a great career within this field. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Fiona. And, the $1 million question, right? Where are you headed to? What's happening?
Next year, I am going to University of Greenwich in the fall, and then I will be majoring in computer science.
All right, that's wonderful. Thanks for that. Great to have you here today. Now, Fiona, tell us a little bit about, quickly, how much of your job was remote? How much of it was in person?
Yeah, so we did have the headquarters were nearby for us. So it was split like hybrid. My team and I would go in about once a week and meet everybody. And then on important meetings, we would come in more frequently, like for the headquarter experience, we came in for the full week, but I would say it was like 70% remote.
Got it. Great. All right. Well, thanks for pointing that out, Fiona, and for our audience to know that these jobs range from, yes, this kind of split, this hybrid split to fully remote to, to more fully in person. And so if there's anything that came from COVID was this opportunity to sort of, as we all know, take a kind of a relook at what our expectations around in-person to remote work. And so lots of good things can happen either way, right? Or some combination thereof. So thank you so much, Fiona. And now what we're going to do is move along to Fatuma. Fatuma is with Securian.
Hi, so my name is Fatuma Abdi, and at Securian Financial, I was an engineering analyst intern, meaning that some of my responsibilities included updating code and refactoring methods and creating new features recently. So we used the agile structure, meaning that we had a scrum master on our team, we had our product owner, the QA, and the developers. So my team, Drive Engagement, is responsible for the product benefit scout, which helps employees make informed decisions about the insurance being offered and the benefits. There's tools such as a quick cost calculator and a chatbot. So you would input your information like your marital status, your age, your savings, how much you have in debt, and then it will return a result such as like how much you're going to pay in insurance. So the recent thing I've been working on with the other intern on my team is a client timeout session modal pop-up, which if the user is inactive for 4 hours, a pop-up would appear and they would have the option to log out or stay in. And if they didn't respond before the session ended, it would delete everything that they inputted and take them back to the home page. Yeah, so this is a task in Jira, and so some of my highlights included the active intern social committee. So at Securian, the interns were responsible for, or they had the opportunity to organize events with other interns. So there's kickball events, volleyball games, dinners, there was hangout, lunch meetings and things like that. And there was support as well because once a week we would meet as a tech talk, and then an intern would share what they've been working on this summer. And they would share their successes, their failures, and we would have the chance to learn from them. So at Securian, we were given many opportunities to learn many different things. Recently, we had a meeting where we would see people in all areas of Securian. So we would see the day of a data scientist or the day in the life of someone in cybersecurity and just learn from that. So I want to thank my job coach, Ariana, because she's been very responsive. She's always ready to help me. And my manager, Brett, I've had weekly meetings with him, and he's helped me build my soft skills, such as like resume tips, interview tips, things like that. And working with the other intern, Cameron, even though we do similar things, we have different approaches to doing things. So I've been able to learn from her perspective.
Thank you, Fatuma. Wonderful job. And your future holds what?
Oh, is it still sharing? Okay. Yeah, so I'll be going into my senior year this year. I'll be doing PSCO at the University of Minnesota. And I'm still a part of BDPA, so I'll probably be doing their high school competition.
Great. So BDPA is what?
It is it's called, it stands for Black Data Processing Association. So they bring in high schoolers, and there's different levels to it. So you begin with learning, when your first year, you begin with learning HTML and CSS, and then you can compete, but usually people can compete in their second or third year. And your second year, you learn JavaScript, and then some React, I guess. And then your third year, you're learning, I think you learn more of the back end as well.
Wonderful. Just a shout out to BDPA, longtime partner of the center, longtime partner of Aspirations in Computing, and good luck to you in their national competition, Fatuma.
Thank you.
All right, wonderful. Thanks so much. All right, so we're sort of getting toward the end. We have just a few more students left. And at this stage, I would like to have, let's see, Ashley from Datasite.
Hello, you guys. My name is Ashley Velar. I'm going to be an incoming senior in Rochester, Minnesota for John Marshall High School. And I'm currently in California right now because I'm visiting family here. So I'm going to be here until the end of the weekend, which is really nice. And they're showing me around and everything. So I'm having a pretty good time here. But this summer, besides California, I worked with Datasite on the team called Productivity Engineering. And then some accomplishments that I'm proud of is learning how to code, such as Python, by doing online learnings provided from Datasite. And then we also worked on a Python website challenge that took us about 2 weeks. So we had to improve on our Python skills and then create a little website to show our team. It was just like a little fun challenge that we did. And then also I learned a lot about time tracking with Datasite. We do that a lot. So I got to help out the team with that. So those are some accomplishments that I did in the summer. And then my highlight of the summer is learning how the real world of work operates and how to adjust to new things that may be challenging or different to me. So working on a computer for 8 hours straight was difficult at first, but I definitely learned how to take care of myself, how to take breaks. And one of the things that I'm really proud of is how close my team is with each other. Like we always I love how we always it's not just straight work. Like we always create a bond. We always talk about things outside of work and everything. And it's really nice. And then I would for sure love to thank my managers, Peg and Heather, for always helping me out. And then I would like to thank Russell for giving me this great opportunity. So thank you guys.
Ashley, well, we go back a ways, right? This all began as a freshman for you. I want to just point out that, of course, you're from Rochester. You've indicated that. This program is statewide. We have some wonderful honorees and candidates that come from the Rochester area. They have a BDPA chapter there as well. And you've been a rising star, probably more than once, maybe a couple of times. You've endured, and now you've been deservedly recognized at a top tier level. And I see Peg, I can see her, and I can just see her pride just coming through the screen. And so we're super proud of you. We want to wish you the very best and what's happening for you next.
Thank you.
What's happening, Ashley? Where are you headed to?
Oh, yes. So my plan is, since I do PSEO already at RCTC in Rochester, technically, if I do go to the U of M, I would only need 2 years of college to finish and then achieve my bachelor's degree, which would just save me a lot of money for sure. But I also really have this desire of going to a college in Miami because I have a lot of family down there, and diversity means a lot to me. But I've been also finding out that the U of M in Minnesota, they have a lot of clubs and specifically for Latinos, and I've been looking into it for sure, and I think the U of M would be a good option too, just to save money, and there is inclusion in there too. So at first I didn't know of it at all, but now that I do know more, I would love to explore more of the U of M.
Yeah, we'd love for you to explore that as well. Wherever you end up, just keep in mind that Minnesota wants to employ you. All right. Way to go, Ashley. Thank you so very much. I'd like to now invite Abhi from Datasite to join us, one of your peers and colleagues. Ashley.
Hi, everyone. My name is Abhi Rajashekaran, and this summer I've been an intern at Datasite, and I've been working with the productivity engineering team, and it's been such an amazing experience. And I just want to take a minute to talk about a project that I spent a lot of time working on. So our team decided to do a 2-week Python challenge where we also kind of get exposed to Python Flask. So first, each of us had to take a Python IQ test to see where we start off at. And I was placed in the beginner level since I don't have much experience with Python. And we were also given a checklist of tasks where we could keep track of our work and keep ourselves accountable. And I definitely had to work through several blockers in order to get my code to work. Whether it was errors in installing applications or running the code, I had to do a lot of research and learn what other people had to do to troubleshoot their errors so I could troubleshoot mine. And in the end, I finally got the code to work, and it's a really good feeling to see your hard work pay off. So that's for sure. And I also had to take the Python IQ test once I finished the project, and my score went up by 8%, which I'm really proud of. And the highlight of my summer experience was the book club meetings for sure. Every week we would have a meeting where we'd read a book called The Manager's Path, and we kind of discuss what we learned and read about. And the entire book, it's about learning about soft skills and the importance of them. And I feel like a lot of the times people tend to prioritize hard skills over soft skills, but they're just as important. And I learned effective ways to communicate and delegate and how to manage projects. I also learned about like personalities and how knowing yourself is super important to learning about others. So the book club meetings, they definitely exposed me to the soft skills, and reading the book, it has definitely taught me how to improve myself as well. And I would like to thank Peg and Heather and the rest of the team for being such great role models. Not only have they taught me how to manage teams and projects, they've also taught me what it means to be part of a community. Both of them have taken the time to get to know me and my interests and plan fun events such as team lunches, team building activities, and giving me the opportunity to present at the Women in Tech meeting for July. So a huge shout out to Peg and Heather for giving me such an amazing experience this summer. And I also want to thank the M&AIC community for giving me this. So yeah.
That's great. Thank you so much, Abby. And you broke up just a little bit there, but we know what you were doing. You were thanking all the people who are super supportive of you. So way to go. Just a couple things. Women in technology runs in your family. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about your mom.
Yeah. So my mom works at Target, and she's part of. She also organizes events there. And sometimes I like to tag along, help her with some of the events she hosts. So that's always a really fun experience for me.
That's great. It's wonderful that that role modeling exists in your family as direct as that.
Mm-hmm.
You're very fortunate. And we want to just thank you, Abby, for joining us today and being part of this. It's greatly appreciated. Where are you headed off to?
Yeah, so I just graduated high school, and I'm going to Case Western this fall, and I will be majoring in cognitive science and public health. And hopefully, I want to do a 5-year master's in public health program, so something along that path.
All right. Well, thank you for that. And if somebody needs to mute themselves, if you could kind of pay attention to that, that'd be great. All right. So thank you, Abby. We greatly appreciate it. And we are down. We have a drum roll. We're down to 2 folks. And I would love to have Lalitha from SPS Commerce join us.
Yeah, let me just share my screen real quick.
Okay, yeah. So hi, everyone. My name is Lalitha Ganturi, and I'm going to be an incoming junior at Eden Prairie High School. And this is my summer at SPS Commerce. So when I was at SPS Commerce, I spent 2 weeks on their SysOps team, and then the rest of my internship on their cloud operations team. So on their systems operations team, I learned a lot about the different technology platforms that SPS uses to make sure all of their tech is working properly. So a couple of the main ones that I looked at were Logic Monitor, PagerDuty, Jira, and then Sumo Logic. And then for the rest of my internship, I am working on the cloud operations team, where the project is to develop or automize the way we notify Jira users who have like completed a change ticket but haven't verified their ticket in Jira yet. So this project kind of worked in like a couple different stages. So in our discovery stage, we wrote a Python script that collects the tickets that need to be reported on. And then in our processing portion, we added to our script so that it would parse through all of these tickets and find certain data points, such as like who was assigned the ticket, who reported the ticket ID, the ticket summary, and store all of that information in a dictionary. And then in the notification portion, we integrated our Python script with Slack to develop a Slack bot. So now the assignee will receive a Slack message from our bot whenever this nagware is triggered. And then in our last stage was our deployment stage. Until then, our script was all running locally on our computers, but through our deployment stage, we deployed it to our non-prod and prod environments. So now our automation can run without being manually triggered. And in order for us to do this, we used Azure DevOps to develop our pipeline and then BDP Core for deployment. So yeah, what I learned. So over the course of my internship, I definitely strengthened my Python coding skills. A lot of what I worked on, everything was written in Python, so I definitely got better at that. I also learned YAML, which is what we use to write or encode our pipeline. And then I learned how to create a pipeline. And since the pipeline was such a huge portion of our project, I got a lot of experience with Azure and just troubleshooting and debugging our code. And then I also got some experience with AWS and overall bettered my interpersonal skills like collaboration, communication, and then time management. So some of my summer highlights were Tech Jam, which I know Carolyn mentioned earlier. I was on her Winterns team and we created a really fun Slack bot, which was super fun. And then our National Intern Day celebration with all of the other interns was super enjoyable. It was just a fun time for everyone. And then this year I had the opportunity to go to Devops Days, which was a tech conference here in Minneapolis for 2 days. And it was really interesting, the talks that people were giving in the breakout rooms, and I really enjoyed that. And then last but not least, the thank you. So thank you to the Aspirations in Computing program for this amazing community and opportunity. Thank you to Ben and Troy, my 2 managers at SPS. Will, who was like our project lead for our intern project and was super helpful throughout the process. Lauren, our student intern manager, who was super supportive the whole summer and planned some really, really fun events for us. Claire, who was the intern that I worked on my project with and my mentor. She was super supportive, nice, and is super fun to work with. And then lastly, the entire SPS intern cohort. It was great meeting them, and I hope to see them again sometime in the future.
Well done, Lalita. Thank you so very much. And last but not least, the most patient of all is Izzy Lauer. Come on down, Izzy.
Hi, I'm Izzy. I'll be an incoming freshman at the University of Minnesota this fall, majoring in math and computer science. This summer, I interned at Land O'Lakes as part of the Purina digital manufacturing team. And so it works on a variety of technology products and solutions that aim to help the Purina business, which produces like animal feed, run more smoothly and efficiently. So the project that I worked on this summer, it was a request from a plant in Wichita, Kansas, and they wanted to streamline their truck check-in system. They had a couple of issues with that, but the first is that as the day would go on, trucks would just kind of keep building up along the road near the plant, and there was no real way to tell who had gotten there first or what the right order was to load them in to be fair to who got there at the right time. And then the second issue they were running into is that the office in the Wichita plant is on the second floor of the building. And so since all their files were paper and they had no real way to communicate with the truck drivers virtually, they had to run up and down 2 flights of stairs every time they wanted to go down to the truck drivers for information and then go back up. In the busy season, there are about 20 trucks a day. And so while running up and down all those stairs is great exercise, it does take a lot of the efficiency out of the process. And so my project created an app that allows the truck drivers, when they come into the street, they can just sit in their car. There's a QR code posted on a stand, and so they don't have to get out of their truck. They just scan the QR code, fill out a short 5-question form and submit it. And then from there, the Land O'Lakes employees up in the office have all the information they need to call the trucks in efficiently in the order that they came in, to be fair to all the truck drivers. And then they're also able to now text the truck drivers back and forth instead of having to run up and down all those stairs. One of the highlights of my summer were the town halls that Land O'Lakes hosted. And so I got to learn more about the business as a whole, and then also network and meet new people that I otherwise might not have ran into. And then for thank yous, I'd really like to thank Aspirations for giving me this opportunity for the summer internship, as well as Taylor, my manager, Nathaniel, who's the intern in Wichita that I communicated a lot with this summer, as well as Nancy, Amanda, and everyone who took time to do informational interviews or meet with me throughout the summer.
Well, wonderful, Izzy. Thank you so much. And of course, we'd like to know what's in store for you.
Yeah, so I'll be attending the University of Minnesota this fall. I'm planning to major in math and computer science, and then hopefully become a data scientist after that in the future.
Lovely. Well, there's a great future in store for you and all of our folks that are considering data science for certain. Thank you so much, Izzy. And I just want to give a round of applause. Please join me in any way you see fit for all of our interns. And it's obvious that they not only possess technical skills, those hard skills, but they also possess, as Abby mentioned, these phenomenal soft skills, which I really believe are essential professional skills, right? And so they've done a wonderful job today. I'm sure you agree. They've been well coached, and they have practiced, and they've done a wonderful job. So congrats to all of them. I want to just thank everyone who's participated. But before you leave, we want to tell you a little bit about what's in store for the program itself. And I am delighted to introduce Amy Patton, who is a lead. She provides leadership to a employer engagement subcommittee of Aspirations. And she's going to share a little bit with you about what we have planned for the fall here. So Amy, take it away.
Sure. Thanks, Russ. First of all, thank you everyone for those fantastic reviews of what you've done this summer. There's always so much learning going on, and like Russ and others have said, it's not just the technical skills, but the soft skills. And that's one of the wonderful things that I've found with the students through this program, just amazing soft skills that you get going through this program. So our hope is to be able to provide even more internships going forward. As you know, these are just fantastic experiences that can really help you going forward. So for all of you managers out there, thank you for your support, for the mentors, the sponsors, and the coaches that really support these students. We couldn't do it without you. We have an event that's coming up in October that we're planning right now to encourage even more companies to provide internships. We've done this before, and we're going to have it again either October 4th or 5th. We're nailing down the date, hopefully sometime this week. But during that, we will be bringing together more leaders across the area who can continue to provide this wonderful internship experience. We have a panel of managers that we're going to be talking about just how amazing all of you students are. So I know Peg Mickelson's going to be on that, Troy Jordan. We have either Jonathan or Ryan, I think, from General Mills will be on. And Alex from the Twins is going to be on that panel, really advocating for just the amazing experience this is, not just for the students, but for us as internship providers. So we're absolutely looking forward to that and hoping that we can provide even more internships next summer.
That's great. So stay tuned, folks. You'll be receiving an invitation if you're a partner in the room. Because we want you to continue to be participating in this program and consider ways that you can expand your participation. So Amy, thanks so much for your support and your involvement. And Amy is with SPS Commerce. And with that, folks, it's 2:40. And that's when we said this celebration and showcase would end. And I just want to thank you again for your involvement. Congratulations to our honorees. And I wish you all the very best going forward. Thank you all for your participation today. Take care.
Thank you, Russell.
Bye, everybody.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Russell.
You bet.
Thanks,
You bet.
awesome
Take care.
interns. Bye.